1978 was the third year for Phil Collins as the lead vocalist of Genesis Band, since Peter Gabriel's departure from the band at 1975. That year, Genesis released the album And Then There Were Three, featuring the hit single Follow You Follow Me, which opened the doors to mainstream success for the band. They embarked on a tour to support the album afterward. However, despite their apparent rise to fame, Collins's personal life was far from smooth sailing. His relationship with his wife, Andrea, hit a rough patch, exacerbated by her dissatisfaction with his extensive touring commitments. Eventually, Andrea moved with the children to Vancouver, Canada. To save his own marriage, Collins left UK to Vancouver after reaching an agreement with his bandmates. Meanwhile, other members of Genesis used this period of time to prepare the materials for their own solo project. Collins returned to the UK after the end of his marriage. While his bandmates are working on their solo albums at the time, Collins spent time alone in his house in Surrey, converting a spare room into a home studio and channeling his emotions into songwriting. He frequently sat at the piano, composing songs and recorded some of the materials into cassette, and also frequented local pub before returning home. Later, when Tony, Mike, and Phil reunited to discuss material for their coming Genesis album, Duke, Collins brought along some demos that he recorded on cassette, including material that would later become his solo album. Mike and Tony selected the rather personal Please Don't Ask and Misunderstanding. The other material was later reworked into his debut solo album, Face Value. During the making of this solo album, Collins invited some people he wanted to work with to join him in the recording studio, including Phoenix Horn from Earth, Wind and Fire, Daryl Stuermer, and Eric Clapton, among others. He collaborated with Hugh Padgham as producer of the album, who had previously worked with Peter Gabriel. Meanwhile, Collins continued to contribute to Genesis songwriting and works for their 1980s released album, Duke. In February 1981, Phil Collins officially released his debut solo album, Face Value. This album debuted at #1 on the UK charts and #7 on the US charts. In the same time, it also opened the door to superstardom for Collins, featuring his iconic song, In the Air Tonight. This album also established Phil Collins as one of the greatest solo artists of the 80s. While the band members knew the material for the album was great, they did not foresee the massive impact it would have. In the 2000s, In the Air Tonight was featured in the video game GTA Vice City, and Collins made a cameo appearance in the game as a character, continuing his influence on popular culture. By 2015, in conjunction with the remaster of Phil Collins' discography, the cover of Face Value was reshot, and this time featuring his older appearance. Face Value indeed opened many opportunities for Phil Collins, allowing him to pursue solo tours while still participating in band activities. Shortly after, he capitalized on his success by releasing his second solo album, Hello, I Must Be Going. While In the Air Tonight stood out as an undisputed hit, the rest of the album's material was also solid and definitely worth your time to sit down and listen to. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. Till next time.